In conversation with Robert P. Graves. Robert Graves is an author and corporate project manager living in New York. After struggling for decades with undiagnosed bipolar depression and the challenges of coming out, Robert found a path to self-discovery, healing, peace through writing his memoir, I, Rob Grave. It was a turning point, helping him unlock the power of forgiveness. Robert is passionate about teaching children this vital life skill early so they can grow up understanding how to navigate conflict with empathy and grace and ensuring they develop emotional resilience that will serve them throughout their lives. Robert now hopes to inspire a new generation to embrace understanding, kindness, and self acceptance. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure, joy, and excitement to offer the show today, Robert Graves. How are you doing today, Robert?
I'm wonderful. Doing wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's my joy, really, my utmost pleasure having you back on the show. I think after many years since we last spoken, this is really amazing, and thank you so much for coming on to talk about your newly released book.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a while and it's been quite a journey.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you in that. It is really quite a journey, a memorable and impressive and a long-standing one. Thank you very much. So Robert, I need to first say that I love the description of Molly's Big Red Kite, which is a first book in the Molly and Lucas Forgiveness series on Amazon. I would like to ask you what inspired to write this book? And also, can you tell us a little about your journey to becoming a second-time author, if that'll be fine?
I knew at the end of writing my memoir
Mm.
that I would someday write again
Oh,
because the experience of writing my memoir was so gratifying and so healing. I started writing an adult book on forgiveness, and that was a little bit more complicated.
mm.
And I got some feedback from my mentor and my coach and my editor, and they said I was going down the wrong path with the book.
Oh,
So I reread what I had written, and I'm like, yeah, this is this is junk. So I stopped. I stopped, Peter, because I didn't want to continue writing junk, right? So I
yeah.
decided that I would go to the opposite end of the spectrum, and I wrote Molly's Big Red Kite.
Mm.
I started from the children's point of view, and
Yeah.
now I'm working up the age range. I'll
Mm.
do a young adult book, and then I'll focus on the adult book coming in years to come.
Wow.
But I really felt after I wrote Molly's Big Red Kite, like I had stumbled on something, like I had opened up a present on Christmas morning, and you know that joy you feel when you get
Right.
something new. And
Absolutely.
I said, okay, this is for 3 to 7 year olds, but we need to teach older kids these skills too.
Yeah.
So I sat down, and over the course of about a month, I wrote Lucas and Molly's Big Adventure, also on forgiveness, to
Wow.
teach kids about older kids. What was driving me, Peter,
Yeah.
was the fact that when I was 9 years old, I had my first suicide ideation.
Mm.
And I felt so guilty about that
Mm.
because I didn't know forgiveness. I didn't know about forgiving oneself. I
Mm.
didn't know about forgiving my parents for the divorce. So I felt very, very guilty. And I don't want kids to feel like that. I am hoping that these books will teach kids that it's okay to have feelings, but it's also okay to forgive and teach them how to forgive.
Well, I must say that is such a crucial, a very important message that you've raised in that book, because I think it is very important. It actually got me wondering. I mean, the first book you ever written, it's a lovely, beautiful memoir that I happened to have the privilege of reading many years ago and even reviewing on the channel. and also invited you for conversation around that. When I realized that you've got another book out there on the theme of forgiveness, I was like, oh, what about the switch? What led to this amazing, lovely transitioning all the way from writing real life story to writing a book about forgiveness for children? And I must say, I love your answer regarding that, really. I love the fact that you are trying and, have an intention to teach kids on how to forgive. I think it's a very important thing, something very crucial, especially in our world where forgiveness seems to be such a hard thing, where people go about with malice, with long time issues in their hearts, with, we're having kids having issues with their parents, man, and all did so grudgingly for many, many years passing. And look as if we are living in a chaotic world, a world whereby we smile to one another, but deep inside ourselves there is remorse. Deep inside ourselves there is hatred, I would say. There is sort of, anonymosity in
Mhm.
art. But then in the face there's this orginess of laughter, which is so unreal, which is so fake. Yeah, so I think it's very important you're teaching kids the art of forgiveness. Quite amazing, really. Quite commendable.
Well, thank you. You
Yeah.
know, I truly believe that if we start with just a small group of kids, it'll snowball
Yeah,
and grow,
absolutely.
and it will grow exponentially.
Mm,
And then I truly believe that forgiveness will bring peace. I believe that we need to teach this beautiful thing called forgiveness
yeah.
because there is so much hate in the world.
There's a lot.
Our parents don't know what they're doing when they sign up for a radical political party that is teaching hate. In
Mm,
America, we're at a crossroads with our political system right now.
yeah,
And you know firsthand what it's like to live in a political system that doesn't accept everyone for who they are.
yeah.
And I believe that forgiveness is the key to acceptance.
Absolutely. I love that statement. Forgiveness is a key to acceptance. And I like the fact that you even had to buttress the fact that there's so much hatred, so many hatred in the world, and forgiveness is the only key through which we can unlock and bring peace to the world, really. Thank you for mentioning that. Quite a beautiful, amazing, brilliant concept you've got in there. Now, I'd also like to ask you, Robert, can you tell us the making of the second book in your forgiveness series? That's Molly and Lucas' Big Misunderstanding. How did the idea for this particular story come about, and what did you want to build on or do differently compared to the first book, even anyway?
Well, Molly is my great niece, and Lucas is my great nephew.
Oh,
And they are about 3 weeks apart in age,
mm,
and they are best friends. So they actually, I modeled it after them. They had a little bit of a fight. We explained to them the feelings that or tried to educate them on the feelings, and that was the
uh,
start of the book. And
mm,
I took some author liberties
mm.
and wrote the book. But that's really where it came down from was
Wow.
watching my nephew and niece in real life go through the struggle of growing up.
That must have been such a thing, really. That is such an inspiring story you've told in there. And I'd like you to raise the book to the camera if you have a copy of it close by. Yeah, Lucas Amoli's Big Misunderstanding. Would you like to talk about the making of the cover? Look at those characters, I think, in the front of the cover sitting under a tree.
The illustration, I have to say, is all from my graphic artist. I found a graphic artist, an illustrator out of the UK,
Hmm,
uh, and we really hit it off. And she wrote the storyboard for
hmm,
Molly's Big Red Kite. And I knew I wanted Molly. If you notice, she's in a little ladybug costume.
yeah.
Well, that was Molly's Halloween costume.
Oh,
And I sent my illustrator a copy of Molly in her Halloween costume. and this is what she came up with.
Wow.
So I knew I had found gold when I found Emily to do my artwork, and
Mm,
I gave her pretty much uh, liberty, and she really hit it out of the park. It's absolutely beautiful. The
wow.
illustrations, I love the expression. Like, look at how cute that
You're
is.
amazing. Look at that.
The expressions on her face are absolutely amazing, and she really hit it out of the park.
Mm, that's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, also, Robert, both Molly's Big Red Kite and Lucas and Molly's Big Misunderstanding both deal with emotional conflicts. How do you approach writing these moments in a way children can understand, even more particularly as an adult writer that you are?
I went from one extreme in my memoir to
Yeah,
another in the children's book, right?
yeah.
I just sat down and I spend a lot of time with my nephew and nieces, and I don't read to them as often as I should.
Mm,
Um, so I didn't have a lot of experience with kids' books.
mm,
But what I did is I Googled what the theme should be and what to watch out for. And I educated myself on the key components of a
mm.
children's book.
Yeah.
And as an author, you can write up to your audience or write down to your audience. And I just sat down and wrote it out and played with it for a couple of weeks. And then I sent it to my editor, who happens to be Emily's husband, my
Oh.
graphic artist. Her husband is my editor. So I have a team in the UK that uh, I work with.
Hmm.
And he helped me. He did some editing, and we came up with the finished product together. But it
Amazing.
was really just educating myself on the components of what should and shouldn't be in a children's book.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Which I think it's very important, really, educating oneself on the key component of what should be and should not be in a children's book. I think it's very important to be able to craft that and, recognize those things that should be included in the children's book and those things that need not to be included, in the children's book, which I think it's very important, really. But that's what the fact that you're trying to preach a message about forgiveness. I think it's still very important to follow on through those ties, which I think really help even in terms of parents
Right.
giving back feedback.
Right. I wanted the characters to be relatable,
Yeah.
and I came up with Mr. Oslo, the owl teaches them. I knew I wanted a mythical figure, if you will,
Mm.
something imaginary that
Yeah,
would catch the kids' interest.
absolutely.
And my some of my beta readers really love Mr. Oslo.
That's interesting. That's amazing to know. That's amazing to know. And also, Robert, I wanted to ask you, how has your personal journey shaped the way you tell stories about healing and forgiveness? And also, do you find writing for children to be healing in any way or therapeutic for you personally? I'm just curious. Ask your personal journey particularly shaped the way you tell stories about healing and forgiveness.
My feeling comes from my readers and
Mm.
the feedback that I get from them. When I hear that this is their new favorite book that they read every night before bed,
Wow.
like, which is an actual comment that I got,
Mm.
that brings me joy. And that brings me peace of mind that I did good. And that's what helps me uh sustain my personal well-being.
Oh, wow. I must say that's an amazing one, really. That is such an amazing one. Thank you for sharing. Now, just apart from Molly's Big Red Kite and Lucas and Molly's Big Misunderstanding. Do you have another works you've authored or maybe currently working on?
I do. I have three books that I've written that are not published.
Oh,
One is on bullying. It involves my niece who is a big bright-haired redhead, and a bully makes fun of her for her hair
oh,
because she's such a bright red.
wow.
And Mr. Oslo teaches them that they all have differences and
Mm,
that our differences make us beautiful and make us what we are today.
yeah.
And then that's after my niece Gianna.
Mm,
And then uh, my my next book is about Beverly, my niece Beverly, who actually has a pet pantry.
mm,
And what it is she gets donations of pet food
mm,
and she packages it up in smaller amounts in Ziploc bags. And
mm,
she has a mailbox at the end of her driveway. And
yeah.
people can come take dog food and cat food and treats, not because they don't have enough money to buy pet food for themselves, but they have pets that they're caring for.
Mm,
And what happened was thieves took all the supplies
mm,
over the course of 2 nights, totally wiped her out, took all of her food, all of her treats, and the community got wind of it.
wow.
And she appeared on the news on a local
Oh,
TV station. And not only did the community replace all of
mm,
the food that she had lost, but they raised something like $5,000 for her so she could buy a more secure mailbox,
oh,
so
really?
she could buy supplies for pets. So I
Wow.
wrote a book about it, how the community wrapped their arms around this little girl who was doing something so beautiful for her love of pets.
Mm,
Um, and that'll come out in the fall.
oh, wow.
And I'm really excited about that one because that one really does teach kids about community and what it means to be kind.
Mm, oh, wow.
The last book that I have written
Yeah.
is about my mom
Mm.
and her battle with Alzheimer's. And so she's starting to forget names. So I wrote a book to help explain to the grandkids why grandma's forgetting names and that it's a book about her and her journey with Alzheimer's
Mm.
and explaining to them what Alzheimer's is all about.
I'm so intrigued and quite fascinated that, you have a lot of work ongoing. You've written this and you still have much more in the process, which I think it's quite impressive, really. It's an impressive one. Well done,
Yep.
I'd say. Quite commendable.
My my goal is to write 10 books, one for each of my nephew and nieces,
Really?
all on a different subject.
Wow.
Yes. And
Ah,
I've got five down. I've written five so far. I've got two published. I've got three more in the works. And then I've gotta come up with ideas for the next five.
that's such an amazing one. I like the fact that you put yourself on some tasks to do, on an assignment to do, which I think it's very impressive, really. Makes me smile. That's an amazing one you're doing. Quite amazing.
In my family, you can't do for one without doing for the other. So I did
Absolutely.
it for Molly with this one, and then I wrote it for Lucas, and now
Oh,
I've got to do it for the other eight.
wow.
And
That's a,
hopefully my sister and kids don't have any more children. because that means I'll have to write another book.
That's a lot of work you do. That's an amazing work. And I'm sure they'll be very excited to see their name in front of a book and say, oh, somebody wrote that for me, to be very lovely for them, I think. Again, I can imagine.
Oh, they absolutely love it.
Yeah. I can imagine. Oh, that's beautiful, actually. That's a great one. I can imagine me being a kid and somebody writing a book with my name intentionally. That'll be very great. That would be such a dream come true. And I'll be very proud of that, even with my friend. I'll go ahead and show my friend. Look at my uncle wrote this for me. Yeah, he wrote this for me. Look at the book. It's mine. It's always lovely. It's a beautiful one. It's a beautiful one. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Molly, Molly's really excited about it.
That's great. That's amazing. And just in case we have some viewers who are watching this interview and would love to get a copy of any of the books we've mentioned so far, on what platform are they available on for purchase?
They're available on Amazon. If you can't or don't want to support Amazon, um, you can go to my website and I have links. The links will take you to Amazon, but also in the United States and the United Kingdom,
Mm,
you can buy directly from my website and I can ship directly to you in the US and the United Kingdom.
mm,
And then if you're outside of that area internationally
mm.
and you don't want to or don't have access to your local bookstore
Yeah.
should be able to order it for you.
Interesting.
It's available internationally through a company called Ingram Spark, and
Yeah.
they distribute globally
Lovely.
to bookstores around the world. You just need
Interesting.
to say, I'd like to order a book from the States, give them my name and the title of the book, and they'll be able to find it and order it for you.
That's great. That's amazing. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Robert Graves' books directly on Amazon and Ingram on his website and also on other platforms. I also left link to social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Robert, for coming up again on the show to sit down and talk about your lovely, amazingly written children's book, Molly's Big Red Kite and Lucas Forgiveness series. Thank you so much for coming on. This was so lovely.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, it's a pleasure as well.